as we read Makkah after Makkah, we start getting used to a certain pattern, and getting lulled into that continuous, repetitive pattern sometimes causes us to miss some of the unique nuances of each Makkah. And the first one in Parshat Bo, Makat Arbe, has these unique nuances. Parsha, of course, begins, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Bo el Paro ki ani echbadati et libo v'et lev avadav laman sheiti ototai ele b'kirbo. Come to Paro because I want to make more miracles. God doesn't tell him to warn Paro. God doesn't tell him what the Makkah is going to be. Yet Moshe and Aaron warn Paro and specify this whole Makat Arbe. And the question is, how did they know they were going to warn him, and how did they know what the Makkah would be? In fact, this is truly unique because there's no mention of Arbe at any point earlier. If you look later in the Parsha, of course, Hashem says it's time for the last Makkah. Doesn't say what it is. Moshe goes and talks about Makat Bechorot, but he has a basis for that because Hashem had mentioned Makat Bechorot in Parshat Shemot already. So when Hashem said it's time for the last Makkah, Moshe could realize that he meant Makat Bechorot, but Arbe has never been mentioned. What's also interesting is to see how strong Moshe is in presenting what's going to happen now. Moshe and Aaron say to Paro, Ko ama Hashem Elokei ha'ivrim, ad matai me'anta le'anot mipanai. How long are you going to refuse to answer? Shalach ami bi'avduni. Send my people out so they can serve me. The last three words is what Moshe has been asking for all along. Shalach ami bi'avduni. But the first words, ad matai me'anta le'anot. How long are you going to refuse to follow? That is totally new. Where did Moshe get that from? And Moshe continues, Ki im ma'inata l'shalech if you refuse to send out, hineni mevi machar arbe b'gvulacha. Why is this note of refusing, of being a refusnik, so significant? And I think we get the answer to the question in the very next pasuk, pasuk Hey. Moshe continues and says that the Arbe are going to cover the land. No one will be able to see anything. V'yachal et yeter ha'pleita hanisheret lachem min habarad. And they're going to eat what's left from the hail. Moshe here is referencing the fact that by Makat Barad, the Torah mentions, not clear if it was Hashem, if it was Moshe, that the Chita and the Kusemet were not struck during Makat Barad. And this, the Maral explains, is how Moshe knew that the next Makkah was Arbe. Because Moshe understood from the fact that God had spared the wheat, that he was saving that for the next Makkah if Paro would not reverse his ways. And the Ramban develops this idea that Moshe was telling Paro in Makat Barad that God is leaving over something on the one hand to give you a chance to do tshuva and to have it salvaged. On the other hand, as parole waiting to kick in if Paro does not give in. Moshe sees Arba as a continuation of Barad. It's the second part to complete the process if Paro doesn't take advantage of the window that was open to him, of the salvage that was given to him. The Brisker of emphasizes this concept of ad matai me'anta. Makat Arba was a double punishment, like the other Makot, a punishment for not freeing the Jewish people, but in a unique way, a punishment for Paro refusing to take advantage of the opportunity God had given him by sparing the wheat. On the one hand, it's a salvation. On the other hand, it's a hanging threat if the proper path isn't taken. And this, the Griz says, is always important. And a chait in and of itself, if we're insensitive to the message God is sending us. The Griz explains, when God punishes us based on the Rambam, Psukim in Parshas Bechukotai, for something we do wrong, he starts off with a punishment on one level. And the goal is to get us to wake up. If we do not wake up, the punishment intensifies, not just because of your initial sin, but because of the insensitivity to the message God is sending us. Ad matai me'anta. It's Moshe's sensitivity to the message God is sending, even though God isn't specifying it. And it's Paro's insensitivity to the opportunity given to him, which leads to the continuation of Makat Barad in the form of Makat Arba. And this, of course, is a big lesson for all of us about our seeing God's messages and taking advantage of the doorways he gives us to exit in the middle of something before things get worse because we don't take advantage. Let's all make sure to do this and learn from Makat Arba as a continuation of Makat Barad.